Hey, what's going on, everybody? Lorian here, back with another Lord's Mobile video. And I think I covered research on the last video. So I'm going to cover buildings on this one. Um, so I mean, buildings are, it shouldn't be, not going to be a very long video because buildings are pretty straightforward. Not a really, too complicated, but we'll start off with, I guess, the resource tiles. So obviously, with these tiles, these are your resource tiles, and you can build wood, stone, or food. And you'll notice that I have all ore. Yeah, they're all 25. And the reason why I have all ore is because I focus ore or hyper ore. Okay. And what does it mean to hyper a resource? Well, if you look over here, right, and this is a rookie mistake. A lot of people, when you first start the game, you're thinking that you just build it and you'll just keep gaining, but you don't keep gaining. Okay, you have a cap on how much you can have. So with this storage right here, so it'll say wood storage, food storage, or storage. I can only produce a maximum of 26 million. Okay, so right now I'm over the cap, so I'm not producing any ore, and my ore production is 2.8 million per hour. I can get up to like 3.3 in the right spec and with the right gear on. But just as an example, like, so I fill up real quick, right? In a matter of a day, like I'm pushing, like, what is that? Like 60, 75, million ore. So how do you keep producing? Well, you just send your ore off to another account, right? So like I have several accounts, right? So I just send my ore over to my alt, and that way I can continue to produce ore, right? So if you have a guild bank, that's always good. You can always send it off. Like, you basically, by you capping out, you're not helping anybody, right? You're just not producing resources. So you spent all those speed ups and all those other resources to build those resource buildings, and if you don't empty out and keep sending off resources, you'll be capped out. And again, when you're capped out, you can't produce over your storage limit. So there's research and stuff that increase storage limit, but realistically there's not enough research that will allow you to produce, like, hundreds of millions. And in this game, you need hundreds of millions of resources, especially when you get to your T4 and you're losing troops. Oh, it looks like that soccer event's still going on. So now that I'm under the cap, right, I'm producing ore and I'm getting ore. So you never want to be capped out. I was capped out because I was doing some research and finishing up Guildfest. So that's the only reason why I was capped out. And now I'm capped out on stone and wood. And the reason why I'm capped out is because I don't have any stone and wood. I just have the base buildings. And even this, like, you need some of these buildings as requisites to build the other ones. So I always keep one of each. If you're not going to change, then yeah, in theory you could just kill your food and all the other ones and just have all ore. But if you ever have to rebuild something, then you're gonna have to rebuild these back. So I just leave it at 111. It's not a big deal for me. Okay, so that's resources. So as a quick recap there, very simple. You want to pick a resource, and you want to hyper, and from there you want to make sure you have the right heroes. So ore, right? And you go to heroes, and there are several. So tracker is one of them, right? 150% ore. Okay, and the other one is, what's the other ore? Not him, not her. She's wood. Was it bombing? No, it wasn't bombing. Oh, it's Death Archer, I think. Yeah, see, she's the other ore, 150. Right, so that's 300% on just these alone. Okay, and then obviously your talents and all that. You have a limited amount of talent points, right? So you can't put all your points into like all the different ores, all the different resources rather, right? Because you run out of points. So this is my my ore talent tree spec, so that I can produce a good amount of ore and gold. Okay, that's why they say to hyper, right? Because if you're part of a guild, which you should be, and you probably are, then you can always trade resources with other players. And people, guildies in your guild, they should be willing to trade. Otherwise, you're probably in a guild that is very inactive. But there's a lot of people in my guild that are always, so I got extra stone, I got extra wood. Anybody want to trade? And then most time I just give it. But if somebody needs, then a lot of times they'll trade. So and the banks, guild banks are always willing to switch out as well. Yeah. So resources are very important for a pay-to-play and a free-to-play player to leverage, right? It's more resources you have, you're producing, you build up, you can trade them for other resources, trade them for speed ups, trade them for brave hearts, trade them for whatever, right? So that's the resource buildings. Okay, red tiles. So these, obviously the three buildings you can build here is the barracks, your infirmaries, and manors. So right now, like I'm currently manor heavy, okay, and on these buildings there's bonus at the as it goes through. See the level 25 bonus. So manors will give you attack plus all this, right? Manors give you gold and increase your training speed. Gold storage pretty useless, because you'll probably go over the cap. So similarly to like the regular resources, this is the only way to produce gold passively. Otherwise, you can gather bounties and things of that nature to get your gold. Okay. I switch out in between. I go in between both. Sometimes I'll stay all manors and I'm building up troops, or I'll switch to infirmaries. Okay. Now, infirmaries, we'll talk a little bit about that, right? So, if you are paid casual and maybe free to play, okay, then you're not really concerned with building a lot of troops. Okay. The thing about this game is it really is demoralizing sometimes when you are zeroed out, right, and you lose a lot of troops. Infirmaries are going to help out. Okay. It tells you right here, very simply, what your capacity is. Okay, and what that means is how many people can be saved, and so they call them beds, hospitals, etc., right? So at level 25 you can save 40,000 troops. So if you do the math here, okay, and let's just say you wanted troops, and you want to play defensive, you want to reinforce your guildies, and you don't want to fall too far behind. Okay, well, very simple. You can just keep yourself pretty balanced. Go for 400,000 capacity on your troops. So you would need 10, right? 10 infirmaries. That'll cover 400,000 infirmaries. That gets boosted obviously with some familiars and research. But let's just say for the sake of argument, you want to go for about 400,000. Okay, that means you can just leave 400,000 troops out. T3, T4, T2, whatever you want to leave out. Okay, and if they are killed in battle, you won't lose them as long as you're defending, right? If you're attacking, you'll lose some troops. They'll go into reds, but you won't have any reds if you're defending, okay, or you're gathering, or you're reinforcing somebody else. It'll just go straight to your beds. Okay. So, what is so annoying sometimes, as when you're out burning your T4 player, right? you see people that they'll wear you down. Guilds will wear you down. So I ran into a hive once that everybody was tons of infirms. Basically, there were just lots of infirms, and I would hit people, and they were all reinforcing T3. Granted, they still burned, right? But because they were reinforcing T3, I'm thinking, okay, these guys are putting themselves all in fury, so I'm gonna go burn those guys. But they were actually pretty well organized, and they just kept reinforcing each other with T3, knowing that they all had infirmaries. right? Knowing that they were sending out, because I didn't get any reds, and it was just all wounded, and I took some red damage. Granted, I still got the kills, right? But if you're not pay to play and you're just kind of casual, maybe you spend a little bit. Losing T3, it's like nothing. Like you can just heal them back, right? And then you can always trade resources and you heal them back, and you'll just keep getting your kill count up. So, losing troops wounded, yeah, the resources are a pain and that can be demoralizing. But it's more demoralizing if they're completely dead and you have to rebuild them from scratch. Healing is not as bad as building new troops. Okay, so that's the biggest tip that I can give for abusing these buildings. Build your troops. That's a very valid strategy. Okay, you go into manors. If you want to speed it up, build your troops 400,000 or so, and then go infirmaries and cover your infirmaries, and then you can just keep a few manors and a few barracks, and then get to your cap of where you want it to be, right? And if you have 400 capacity, then great. You have 400. Then if you forget to put them away or whatever, then they'll still be there. You'll lose your leader if you don't shelter them. But your shelter, you can also hide 200,000 troops there too, right? So in theory, then you can go up to 600,000, put 200 in shelter, and then go ahead and leave some out. Okay, but then you can also hide troops by sending them off to gather and sending them off into other people's shields, and reinforcing them, right? So you really don't get in too much of a problem, as long as you have a decent infirmary cap. And that's not as bad. So don't be afraid to lose troops if you have infirms to cover. Put your leader away, and reinforce people. That's I can't tell you how annoying that is, for when you have another player out there and I'm burning, somebody else is burning, and we see like a group of T3 players, and they're just all reinforcing each other just to cause cause losses. And if you're like a brand new T4 player and you don't have a lot of T4 troops, then it's like, oh my god, I don't want to attack, I'm losing my stuff, right? So that you can people don't want like hard targets. Okay, let's be real. I'll give you the secret there. You're out defending in your smaller guild or whatever. The T4 players don't, unless you're like spending like they're just like 600 bill, and they're just like killing it, 600 mil rather, or a billion player. Like realistically, there's not too many of those people out there. Okay, so you can be very annoying to a 150 mil T4 player by having a strong guild that reinforces each other and has high infirm cap, because it's not a hive that I want to go back and visit, knowing that I'm gonna take a lot of losses. I'm gonna get a lot of kills for sure, but if I'm a more not as hardcore pay to play, and I'm just like I spend a little here and there, I'm gonna go for the people that are sitting out in farming gear, leaving troops out, and not reinforcing each other. I'll go after that guild before I go after a guild that sits in war gear and causes as much damage as they can, even though they know they're gonna lose, right? So I hope that makes sense. Okay, don't be afraid to reinforce each other, especially if you're covered, right? Just put your leader away, and then send the troops off. If they're gonna catch by beds, they're gonna catch by beds. I always tell my guild that, like, if somebody if they have the infirmary space, yeah, go ahead and reinforce anybody and everybody, because if you need resources, I'll send you resources. The healing's not going to take that long if it's T3, and then you'll be fine. Okay, so that's those buildings. Barracks is the last one in here. Yeah, I know there's like hard math on barracks on how many you're supposed to build and it's supposed to help you. If you're building T4, it's one barracks. If you're building T3, it's two, T2, and so forth and so forth. Right? You don't need a whole lot of barracks. Now, there is something to be said about having multiple barracks if you're trying to time your if you're trying to time like build troops when you wake up and go to sleep. Okay, so what I mean by that is, like, if you want to just like build it and it's like almost like a timer, like an alarm, that when you first wake up your troops are done being built. No big deal. you'll remember to wake up and build the troops. Whereas if it was like, being done built at, I don't know, 2 a.m. in the morning and you don't wake up until 9, then that's like 6 hours of time that you could have been building troops. So some people will build multiple troops if they're multiple barracks rather if they're going to build a lot of T1, T2, T3, etc. Very rarely will you see more than one barrack for T4. Okay. The vault. So, I mean, it's very self-explanatory. It just means if you get attacked, this is the amount of resources that will be protected, and not anything, serious. Okay. Watchtower again. It literally tells you everything that the watchtower does. Okay. Research building is pretty self-explanatory. The trading post is, obviously for just first sending. You need, okay, so this is when it comes to the pay-to-play buildings. Actually, before we go to there, we'll go to the forge. The workshop is a good building, obviously. This is where you build all your gear, okay? Literally everything that you can build is going to be in here, and you can just sort it, by filter, select whichever one you want, and then just look and see what you're trying to build. We'll talk about gear sets another day, though. This is where you build your gear. One thing about this is at 17, second accessory, 25, third accessory. This is actually really important, right? You kind of want one of these buildings because it's basically an extra inventory slot for you to fill, which has bonuses, right? So I would definitely, get that to 25. Okay, pay to play buildings. What can I say about pay to play buildings? Well, you need them for T4. Okay, altar. This is a very good building. Okay, if you again, it says what it does, right? If you execute leaders, this is what you get, and it extends, for every leader that you kill. So mine isn't. I don't have anything on it. I haven't really been warring lately. But the stats are very good. Okay, like people use 20% attack boost and things like that, right? This is giving you free 38%. I mean, it's just good overall. It's just great, and you need it for T4. Okay, battle hall. This is what you need to do your rallies, right? So the higher your battle hall is, the more troops you can send. And if you click on information, it breaks it down, right? And then obviously level 25 increase coalition army attack 10%. All the buildings at 25 have some kind of bonus. Okay, and then these are like presets for quickly attacking. Okay, and we'll go to prison last. Okay, so prison also you click on the information button, it tells you everything that it does. Okay. The attack boost is obviously really good. So if you did the math, right, and you had the altar boost going at 38%, let's call it 40 for the sake of argument and easy math, and then you have a prisoner. That's 70% army attack for free, right? Just by having people in your prison and having sacrificed or executed people from the altar. So obviously it's very good. Right, all of these require a ton of gems to get to 25. Okay, because I don't think I can't upgrade it, so it won't show me, but I can just show it this way. It's special items, all right, that you have to buy. Never buy them from here. Okay, go to the actual. I can't show you because I've got them all upgraded already. But similarly to, I guess. You can do it here. So it'll say, the crystal axes or the cuffs or whatever. Buy it from here, because then it'll give you this screen and you have a discount. Okay, so if you buy more, the more you buy, the cheaper it is. As it goes higher and higher. Okay, don't buy it from the other screen. Okay, so a free to play tip: you can always trade resources and have people gift you the items you need for the upgrade. So the battle tombs, the pickaxes, right? You can trade resources for these and have people gift it to you. Okay. And then this is the familiar buildings. When I was originally doing these, like the bottleneck for me was the packs. So that's why I have the springs. I don't rush it, but each one has a bonus, right? This produces the resources, and then obviously everything has a bonus. Again, 25, right? Everything has a bonus. So 3% merging speed. So I just maxed them out. All the springs is what I'm doing. I'm just going all springs, and then one of each of the other buildings. You know, you build your this is your monster hole. This is where you redeem them. This is where the training happens for each one. Oh, when you, I wonder if I can cancel it. It's fine. Okay, when you train these, okay, see up here. Yeah, it in the very beginning when they first came out, I didn't hit this button. Okay, and so stuff was taking forever to train. So don't forget to click the button on the top that assigns heroes to the familiar, and then go ahead and train. You'll have a lot more, obviously. Okay, but just this thing, just saying. And then this is obviously where you would merge your packs and stuff. Okay. So that's familiar buildings. The treasure trove is the treasure trove. It's basically a bank, okay, with interest, right? So you deposit, right? You pick the I can't show you the tile. Actually, it will let me. So 20% for 7 days, 14, 20 days, 20 days. But the thing that changes is the basic interest. The bonus interest is from research and stuff. So obviously the 30 day is significantly better. So do the 30 day. Okay, never cancel it and go and change it. Like, you know, always do the 30 day. The payout's worth it. Okay. So this is like the first building that I maxed when I got the opportunity to. I spent the crystals, and it's already paid me back, you know, several times over. Some people are still sitting at, like, some of my friends are still sitting at, like, you know, level 8. But, you know, there's a big jump from 12 to 28% is a big jump. And max deposit on top of that, right? So this is definitely one of the first buildings that you want maxed out, because it pays itself back. Okay? It's like cash back, right? That's all the buildings. You know, I mean, Coliseum is Coliseum, and you know, your cargo ships. But it's most questions I get asked about is, you know, the hypers and the manners and things like that. Okay. So that's the building in a nutshell. You know, if you have any questions, you know, feel free to leave a comment. You know, appreciate a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time on the next video. Thanks.